Well,
$1 million question.
I mean, the code that you highlight there, we only found out about that. The government was only forced to even bother to rush out this code. One, because of the documents released by Ed. And then a year later, when we at PI sued GCHQ, we said, we don't think you've got any legal authority to conduct these kind of hacking activities. We looked through the statute books, we flicked through, and we tried to find the bit that talked about government hacking. We tried to find the bit that said that they could remotely switch on the microphone on your mobile phone, that they could activate the webcam and to take photographs of you. And we couldn't find it. So we took this case last year, and two things have happened in this last year. The first is that the government have introduced this draft code of practice. They've called it equipment interference because they don't like talking about hacking. Hacking is something that the bad guys do. What they do is they interfere with equipment. Very, very different. Same way they don't do mass surveillance, they do bulk interception. Radically different. Radically different. So that's the first thing that they've done. And they've introduced this not as primary legislation, not something that our parliament gets to properly debate. Instead, they introduced it as a code of practice, an add-on to the legislation, as it were. And the second thing that they did, which we only found out about 2 weeks ago now, is that we have a law that criminalizes unlawful hacking. So if you want to come and hack me now, that's an offense, right? You can't do that. The same law applied to GCHQ. If they want to come hack me, they were not allowed to do so. And this was our case. We said, look, you're breaking the law. You don't have any authority to do it. And second of all, you're committing a criminal offense in doing it anyway. So we thought we were on pretty solid ground. Until a day before court, the day before, we get notified by the government that they've changed the law. The Computer Misuse Act, the thing that criminalizes their activity, had been amended. They'd snuck it into the Serious Crime Bill. In the explanatory notes of the legislation, they make no reference to it. The parliamentary debate doesn't talk about it because no one knew that this was the implication of the change. So we're fighting a really, really long fight here. Even when we're taking them to court, you know, they're moving the goalposts pretty quickly. But you know, we shouldn't be disheartened by this. To me, this is a sign that we're now having an opportunity to do something about this. You know, 2 years ago, we couldn't have even talked about it. It's taken Ed to blow the whistle here. It's taken our courts to begin to bite on it. It's moved our parliament to try and consider this. And now we've got this new legislation, the Investigatory Powers Bill. They're saying they need more powers. They say they don't have enough of our data. I mean, Ed, as someone who's looked through our data,